what role and what impact do you see modern technology and digital technology and the internet having on the AFI in general and the awards in particular?
Well, at the moment, it's in that regard, it's very conventional. There's a show in the room. We've got cameras. We've got various crews staging the production on a number of different levels. Of course, not least of which is in the room, but also to be repackaged and broadcast on the Nine network. So at this stage, there is no real online component. There is no, I mean, even in the pre-promotion. So there are a number of different elements, of course, that go into that journey, as I said, for the awards themselves. And at this stage, it remains a fairly conventional format. I would like to see that grow. But I think, we're still learning to crawl, let alone walk, let alone run at this stage. So
a webcast is not yet on the cards?
Probably not. I mean, it's certainly something that we've started to talk about. But again, from my part, and I know that I speak on behalf of some of the key stakeholders, we need to feel confident with what it is that we have before we really, with any seriousness anyway, make any kind of moves in that kind of a direction. But it's the inevitability of technology as well. So we're absolutely mindful about being aware of that, most definitely, and certainly not precluding it. What are you proposing, Andrew?
Well, I'm not
if the money's right.
I'm not proposing, but it seems to me that it's, in a big country like Australia, it's the Australian Film Institute. Technology is there to deliver it on the internet.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Given that we have a decent broadband structure sometime in the future.
Yeah.
But getting back to the AFI and the organisation and your role in it as the captain of the ship, is there anything that you found when you got there that you didn't expect, that surprised you? Good or bad?
It's been a combination of both, which is to say that the short period of time that I had between finishing at the Melbourne Film Festival and starting at the AFI, which was just a couple of weeks, well, I should say, when it was announced that I had the position at the AFI, slew of emails, phone calls, State of the Nation address by countless people. I've got bruises all over my ribcage from people sticking their finger into it, giving me their thoughts, and that's good. I mean, I invited that. But on the other hand, I didn't go on the road and hold a series of town hall meetings about the crisis of the AFI. Perhaps slightly against my temperament, I actually thought the best thing is to spend a couple of months getting to know everything, ultimately, rather than making radical change quickly, which was the expectation and the desire on the part of certain individuals and organisations. I thought it best to, if we are embarking on a kind of a voyage of re-establishing of our credibility, as I keep saying, well, I need to know what I'm dealing with, both internally as well as externally. So they've been attendant to that. There've been barriers that I didn't expect to be there. But most particularly, I've been heartened, at the risk of sounding too upbeat, I've been heartened by a fundamental desire, which is kind of why I'm there in the first place, for the place to actually be meaningful, for it to be a really community-based organisation, not kind of a hippie drop-in centre either, but not that I've got anything necessarily against hippies.
Or drop-in centres?
No. Well, depends how they're furnished, I guess. But so I'd expected that there would be largely negativity. There hasn't actually been largely negativity. There's, as I said, there's been a fundamental sense of goodwill that's been expressed to me. What is also evident is that, I mean, I had a sense of this, I think like most people, but it's very competitive. People want to win an AFI award. And believe me, there are some people who will do almost anything to make sure that they can get those wheels greased. I'll save that for my memoirs.
All right, we'll look forward to that. But there is one thing that you said early on, that
yeah.
one of the first things, or one of the things that you've done is a restructure which has streamlined the organisation in terms of staff numbers. Can you talk about what sort of, is there a percentage or some kind of, how can we size that? What sort of numbers, how many percentages?
Well, we had, when I started, there were about 15 staff in total at the AFI. Now they're around about half that number. It was expected of me that I would, absolutely not by the board of the AFI, but there was an expectation in some quarters that I would go in, redesign the logo, get my interior decorator in, sack all the staff, and start completely afresh and make very loud noises about doing it. But as I said, I mean, it's been very much, my first weeks were spent speaking with the staff individually and collectively, trying to get a sense of what it is that we were supposed to be doing and we're indeed doing. And then I got a sense of, well, that's confirmed certain elements about them as individuals or collectively as a group. And then slowly aligning that with what I saw to be the key objectives and ultimately the pathway to get there. And that's still very much a work in progress, which is not to say that the organisation will become any smaller in terms of human resources, but I've had to absolutely align our objectives and what was actually being done there, and there was a considerable discrepancy. And happily now we're in a financially far more secure position, and I believe also with a pretty remarkable bunch of people.
And the future's looking busy?
It's looking busy. It's modesty is one of our catchwords. We're not looking to achieve anything dramatically that we can't. So we're hoping to punch above our weight, but that won't be probably until next year. So as I said, it's been very much about consolidation.
So that's
really
the first step in the plan?
It's the first step in the plan, yeah, absolutely.
You have a plan, a 3-year plan?
We have a 5-year plan that we're presently working on, and this has involved gaining the confidence of many people, internally as well as externally. And we've had a series of, well, obviously discussions with the board, individually and collectively. And shortly we're about to have a planning day that involves all of the staff as well as all of the board. And that will actually provide a series of rolling opportunities over the course of the next couple of months where there can be a pragmatic appraisal of where we've come from, which I think is important, where we're at also because we're heading into the 50th anniversary in 2008, and also a bit of blue sky mining as to where we should be in 5 years' time, which I think is really important.
Thank you very much.
No worries.